Hey everyone, happy Rich and Wellness Wednesday. I want to say first, welcome back if this is not your first time tuning in, and welcome to those of you that are tuning in for the very first time. If you've been here before, you know that something's different about today. I'm by myself. Shola and I, as we mentioned in our very first one, will be doing some where we co-facilitate and also some where we're by ourselves. Just giving you guys different options and different styles as well. So we want to just thank you for coming here and sharing space and time with us. For those of you that have reached out and said that you've enjoyed the workshops, thank you so very much. Stuff like that really helps us to know that, we're doing this for the right reasons, and we're also doing something that you find helpful. As always, if there's something that we're not doing that you would love to see or love help on, please reach out to us. Our emails are on the YouTube page. This week, we're going to pick up and continue with our self-care series for the Rich and Wellness Workshops, Part 1. So, in honor of that, today I want to talk to you guys about social self-care and spiritual self-care, why they're connected, what they may mean, and what are different ways that you can create self-care based actions that connect to those things, right? So, starting with social self-care, I think in order to understand that, we first have to define that for ourselves. So like I challenge you guys every week to do is try to define social self-care for yourself. As human beings, we are very relational, we are very connected, and social interaction specifically, is just a part of who we are. And so it's really important to have positive social interactions with others and implement self-care to help you maintain that, right? So what does that look like? For me, if I had to define social self-care, I would probably say that social self-care means expressing social self-care means that I'm implemented and I'm carrying out self-care based actions that are focused on my ability to go through conflict with people effectively, my ability to express my emotions and my needs to others effectively, my ability to understand the emotions and needs of others effectively is very important, because this social self-care aspect, although it stems from the individual, it's really embedded in the way in which we relate to others in a positive way. So how do we do that? How do we relate to others in a positive way that allows us to foster self-care, right? I think in order to really think that through, we have to first talk about what is social self-care embedded in. And if you ask me, I would honestly have to say social self-care is embedded in our ability to express compassion. So why do I say that? I say that because every single person you meet, every student, every staff, every mental health care worker, every principal, every family member, every friend, every stranger, every neighbor, any person that you meet is carrying something. Every single person that you encounter is fighting a hard battle that you don't know about. And that is why it is important to express compassion. And that expression of compassion is the key to positive social interactions, right? So what's compassion? Again, my own personal definition is my ability to express care and kindness to other people and to express concern for their well-being, right? And that's really something that only we can do if we do it for ourselves first. So our ability to express compassion to others, of course, go figure, means that we have first held ourselves accountable in expressing compassion to ourselves. We can only give others what we have within our own selves, right? So how do we do that? And I'm going to take these two water bottles. One's empty and one's not. That was not on purpose, but I see them, so I'm going to use them. And give an example. So we're going to pretend we have teacups. Teacup 1, teacup 2. Right? This is teacup 1, y'all. Teacup 1 has a drizzle of water. And this is often how we look as staff, how we look as faculty, how we look as counselors, principals, when we're showing up for our youth. This is often how we look because we're showing up for so many people so often, and we are not pouring into ourselves, and we are trying to pour into them. And eventually the youth gets full and we're left with nothing, or our family member is full, or our coworker is full, or our teacher is full, and we're like this, right? The way to combat this is we show compassion to others from our overflow, right? So you're not trying to pour into other people when you only have a swig left in your cup. You're pouring into other people when you have shown up for yourself, shown yourself that compassion, shown yourself that individualized self-care that we've been talking about, and you're full enough to turn around and give overflow, right? And the good thing about allowing your compassion to flow from the overflow is once you've helped to fill somebody else up, because you poured from your overflow, you're not empty. You're still full. You're still able to be there for yourself. And that's really important, especially during times like this. We are all going through this whole transitionary period because of COVID-19. Many have lost loved ones. Many have been affected by what's going on for people of color and Black folk in policing and the legal system. There is just a lot of stuff. This election, just a lot of stuff going on right now that everyone is carrying a battle of their own. And those are just the general stuff. Everyone has their own individual stuff, right? And because we know that, we have to remember to first show up for self, pour into self, show self-compassion, and then we can do that unto other people, right? And that is how we maintain that positive social self-care. It really all begins with us, and I think that's something that Shola and I have been trying to stress, right? Everything that we do really begins with us. We have to foster it within us first, right? And I think that's a really good segue into the spiritual self-care. Because if you ask me, spiritual self-care, although, we do, depending on our spiritual identification or the way in which we identify as far as our religion, it's something that we do collectively often. But it also stems from our individual need to find a deeper understanding of our higher self, of the higher being that we may believe in. And that all really is the key to maintaining that inner peace we need to be able to foster that self-compassion, to give ourselves grace, to give ourselves all of those things, to be resilient and then show up for other people in social aspects, right? And it's really a balance of understanding self while simultaneously understanding others and knowing that just as you are ever evolving, so are the others around you. Just as you are going through adversity, so are the others around you. And that's such, I think, a heavy thing to navigate. And I think that's something that we are all really navigating right now, especially in the context of COVID-19 and all the change that has been going on. And so just knowing that be compassionate for yourself and be compassionate for others is the number one way to help foster understanding, to help people feel seen, heard, to help yourself feel seen, heard, and to really help maintain that wellness that we're really focused on right now. We're really focused on understanding, unpacking, and exploring wellness for ourselves. And that's really what it stems for. So I want to challenge you guys, as always, to one, fast from apathy, because that's what we're trying to do. We are trying to fast from the desire to not do, which I think we are all battling right now in this virtual world, fasting from having low motivation, from going through those personal things that may be affecting our ability to focus and be productive, fasting from that and realizing that through it all, we have to show up for ourselves because we still want to be able to show up for the youth that we're all here for, right? And even for the youth that may be tuning in right now, showing up for yourself is still important so you can show up in the classroom, so you can show up as a good, friend, as a good sibling, as a good son or daughter, all of that stems from showing up for self. So with that, you have 3 homeworks this week. I know that's a lot, but as we always say, the homework for self is the most important work that you can do. So the first is defining compassion for yourself. I've already explained what that means for me, but I challenge you, if that doesn't resonate for you, to figure out what that means for you. And then the second homework is to start creating that list, or to continue that list, because hopefully you started with us last week, and figuring out what your social needs are as far as self-care. and what that looks like for you. One example for me would probably be boundary setting. So I find that social self-care for me means I have to set boundaries and say no sometimes. No to friends, no to family. Set those boundaries, right? And then the second one, the second thing, or third homework, but second thing you have to do for your list is creating a list that involves what you need spiritually as self-care. And for me, that looks like praying and meditation. So what are some things for you? We're going to maintain doing 3 things per. If you can come up with more, that's even more amazing. But 3 things minimum. And that's, again, the first step. The challenge after writing them down is putting those self-care based lists into action. Put them into self-care based actions. Sorry. And the last thing I want to leave you guys all with, that today, if you have not noticed, is November 11th. So that means it's 11/11. And in honor of spirituality, in honor of being in tune with ourselves and the world around us, 11/11 is actually a lucky number that tells us to trust our gut and to listen to our heart. So I want to urge you to trust your gut, to listen to your heart, to show yourself compassion, to show others compassion, and continue to creating those lists for yourself. If you found this helpful, I'm so honored to have provided this for you today. If you didn't, it's okay. You have to take what you need, and maybe this week it wasn't what you needed, but I still want to thank you for being here with me today, and I will see you guys all next week, same time, same place. Actually, I won't be seeing you. Shola will be seeing you next week, and then I'll see you the week after. So have a great rest of your Wednesday all, and see you soon.